All right, everyone, it's 3 o'clock, so let us get started. There'll be still a couple, I think, students joining us, but welcome to math webinar. I would like to first welcome you to North Chicago. This might be your actual first opportunity to talk to one of the professors or two of the professors, especially from the math department. So let me introduce our panelists for today, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the setup for this meeting and what features you can use in order for us to answer your questions. So my name is Jitka Stehnova. I am a professor at the Math Department and a co-director of undergraduate studies. And I am being joined by my colleague, Professor John Boller. John, do you want to say a few words?
Yeah, hi, congratulations. Welcome to the University of Chicago. Yeah, it's a little early. We don't actually start for quite a while, as you know, but our placement process is, of course, already underway. You've taken a placement test. We want to talk about the next level of choices that you have to make when you register for courses, about the possibility of taking our higher level test, and so on. We'll say a little bit about the different things, the different choices you have depending on your major, which mathematics courses you should be planning to take, even if you're not on the chain of steps to do them right away, but at least to preview you of what courses are available and which ones you should be thinking about. And yeah, so we're going to be here for a good hour plus and have plenty of time, we hope, to answer a lot of your questions as well.
So let me tell you a little bit about the setup. The meeting is being recorded. This recording will belong to the college, so it will be available to all of you if you need to go back and see some of the emails or available hours or what do you need to do to change your placement and so on. It will be available to you through your advisors. Your college advisors will have access to this recording and they can share it with you. We will have a Q&A feature enabled. So if you have questions, please do not use your chat. Use the Q&A feature. That way we can answer, we can see the questions as they come in and we can answer them in the order. We will have a little short presentation for you just to sort of explain your options for the math placements that you have seen in your Canvas and talk a little bit more about the higher level exam, the calculus accreditation exam, and then the procedures for the change of the placement. So if you have questions as we go through the presentation, again, just use that Q&A feature and we will able to stop and answer some of the questions, but we will have definitely time at the end of this meeting for about half an hour to answer any questions you might have. All right, so let me share. Let me share our presentation about the math placement. So who we are, those of you that join us late, there's actually 3 people in charge of the undergraduate program. The director of the undergraduate program at the mathematics is Professor Robert Pfefferman. He's not here today. You will definitely see him if you take the higher level exam. He will be at the next webinar. And if you have questions about the upper level courses, then you will be meeting with him throughout your next 4 years here. 2 of us here, Professor John Boller and I, these are our email addresses. They're available on the math department web pages. So if you don't have a pen or paper to write some of the information, then you can either rewatch the recording or just Google us at the math department U Chicago, and this information will pop up, our offices and our email addresses. Okay, math advising. So we split math advising in the math department. So there's information right now here for those of you that have questions because you already know your placement. So you know directly who to ask for help if you're trying to change your placement, get into courses, or just get an advice as to what courses you should be taking. I am in charge of any placement consulting for Math 105. That's our lowest level class. It's a pre-calculus. Math 112, 113. We'll explain these courses a little bit more. Math 130s, that's a lower level calculus. Standard math calculus, so Math 151, 152, 153. This is a standard math department. We don't read it. 151 or 15,100, we just dropped the 2 zeros at the end. So everyone will be always saying Math 151, Math 152, Math 153. And I'm also in charge of Math 180s. So that includes that 4-quarter sequence, 183, 184, 185, and 186. Professor Boller is in charge of any consulting or placement changes for Math 15250, that's an optimization course, Math 15910, Introduction to Proofs, Math 160, so that includes both IBL and non-IBL version, 18620, that's a linear algebra, and any higher level courses. What is the procedure for the change of placements? Because we've been already receiving emails. Right now, the system is not active for us to help you with any change of placement, and it will not be active until the airdrop opens for the returning students, which is the Monday of September 16. It's a week before the orientation week. You are unable to change the courses on your own until week 1 of the autumn quarter, but we are able to help you within those 2 weeks before the autumn quarter starts. And you need to email us. That email is important, mathadvising@uchicago.edu. That email is directly for any questions regarding math courses or math placement. You will receive back a Google form that you can select appointment time, day and time that fits your needs, because I know many of you will be traveling to campus or will have other things to do during the orientation week. And then you will meet with one of us, depending on if you need to meet with me for the courses that are listed above, or if you need to meet with the Professor Bowler. I understand that some of you are already needing to change of the class because the pre-registration is coming up, but again, the system is locked. So even if I would give you an option to say, yes, I think you should be switched to the higher level course or lower level course, there's nothing that we can do. And the system will not acknowledge that wish. It will just directly go back to your Canvas courses and your placements, and will only allow you to pre-register for those classes. So I would highly suggest, if you're unhappy with your placement, to still register for your placement course. At least put that math class on your schedule. It's easier to switch a math class if you're approved for the change of placement than to add a new course on your schedule at the beginning of autumn quarter where the courses are already filled up and you might have other activities that you're trying to fit in as well. So go ahead, just put that class that you are in on your registration bit, that I think opens in a couple of weeks. And then if you get in, I will be able to see your schedule. So Professor Boller will be able to see your schedules and we can help you there. Okay, I will hand it over to my colleague because this is his specialty, our course tree. So John, go ahead.
Yeah, so on that previous slide, of course, we don't expect you to know what all those numbers mean. You will have received a placement that will name one or more of those numbers. And this diagram, we hope, but our math tree is meant to try to explain what some of those options are. So first of all, let me say that you should look at this diagram from the bottom up, right? You're entering the university as rising first-year students, and you're taking our placement tests, and you sort of move up the tree as you go into your second and third years and beyond. And solid lines here are either they're prerequisite requirements or placement possibilities. Dashed lines are always only invitations. It's an option that you have. It is not a requirement. So for example, if you are those dashed lines that go into the Math 160s, and there's two varieties, 161.00 and 161.10. They are the regular and IBL versions of our honors calculus course, but you are not required. No one is required to follow an invitation. So even in terms of the vocabulary, we would not say that you were placed into 161. We would say that you were invited to 161. So you should have a placement that tells you, okay, I am placed into, my natural starting point is, let's say, Math 153, but I may also have an invitation to, say, Math 161. So we distinguish between the notion of a placement, which is where we think you are ready to go, but then you have several options that might also accompany that placement. Okay. Again, looking from the ground up, there then is this solid blue line. It's not a ceiling, but if you're coming to the University of Chicago, you'll know about the notion of the core. The University of Chicago is famous for its core curriculum. And in the sciences, there is, it's sometimes informally referred to as the science six-pack, right? You have to do 6 courses for the core requirements in the sciences. And the way that is broken down is you must do 2 in the biological sciences, you must do 2 in the physical sciences, and you must do at least 1 in the mathematical sciences, leaving the 6th as a wild card. So the 6th one could be biological sciences, physical sciences, or mathematical sciences, but it's a huge but. If you choose to do the mathematical sciences by taking calculus, then you must get through at least the 2nd quarter of calculus to have it count for the core. So, for example, if you place into Math 151, our standard calculus sequence, and you take Math 151, that does not count for the core until you actually go and complete Math 152 as well. On the other hand, let's say you placed directly into Math 152 because you learned some calculus last year and you did well on the test and you placed into the 2nd quarter of the calculus sequence. If you take and complete Math 152, that automatically gives you the back credit for 151 in terms of the core. So now you've got 2 mathematical sciences courses in the core requirements by having completed Math 152. So it's not that you have to take 2 quarters of calculus no matter where you start. No, you have to get through the 2nd quarter of calculus. Okay, let's talk about calculus. Calculus is sort of the central trunk of that tree. There's 3 varieties, or 4 if you count the 2 varieties of the Math 160s, the honors. The main one, the central one, the 150s, 151, 2, 3, that's a 3-quarter sequence in standard single variable calculus, except at the college level and the University of Chicago version of the college level. So will you be doing some proofs in those courses? Yes, a few, especially some delta epsilon proofs with the notion of limits and so on. 151 is essentially about limits and continuity and derivatives. 152 is essentially about integration, and 153 is essentially about sequences and series, but again, at the University of Chicago level. So that's the content of that main 151, 152, 153 going straight up the tree, the central core of the tree there. That's our standard calculus sequence. But again, we do have those parallel versions, one to the left, the Math 130s, and one to the right, the Math 160s. So let's talk about the 130s first. So what is the Math 130s about? Well, the Math 130s is still standard calculus, and it still roughly covers the topics in the same order, but some of you will have demonstrated that maybe your pre-calc wasn't as solid as maybe among some of your peers. And so the idea there is that the Math 130s is a 6-hour-a-week course rather than a 3-hour-a-week course. The idea is that we're going to get you through the same amount of calculus in the same amount of time in the year, but with double the time in a week. So the Math 150s, you go to the lectures and you might go to a problem session, but that's voluntary. Where in the Math 130s, you have 3 lectures a week and then 2 what we call tutorial sessions on the alternate Tuesdays and Thursdays in between. So you're actually getting 6 contact hours a week. And that's how we catch you up, right? Okay, maybe my math was just a little shakier. So okay, we're gonna take care of you by having this extra time available so that you can master these same topics as your peers in the Math 150s. There is that one course that leads into below Math 131, there is Math 105. That's essentially a 1-quarter pre-calculus course to ramp you up to get you ready for our Math 130 sequence. The only reason somebody should be taking Math 105 is because they want to take 131 in the 2nd quarter, in the winter quarter, and then 132 in the spring. The main purpose, essentially the only purpose of Math 105 is to get you ready for our Math 130s sequence, if you are not already ready. I'll talk about those 2 courses over there to the left, Math 112 and 113 in just a second. Those are not calculus courses, but let's just hold off on those. But so, I don't know. I mean, I might even say even right now, are there questions about the differences between the Math 130s and the Math 150s? They are both, again, fairly standard, at least in terms of the order of topics, single variable calculus courses. They both do include some proofs that you have to do. Even in the Math 130s, we require an abstract understanding of the definition of a limit and the ability to demonstrate that by doing a proof or 2. And then right, again, so I know you're new to all this language and these course numbers and so on. It's not important you memorize the numbers, but the 130s and the 150s are both single variable calculus courses that will prepare you for majors in just about anything. You should double check any particular requirements if you have a specific major in mind, but and there are some majors that make a big distinction between the 130s and 150s. We don't actually. We think if you've gotten through either one, you're equally well prepared. But it's more about where you are right now. We have a lot of options available because we want to get you into a place where you will succeed. And that's what this whole placement procedure is really all about. Now, those of you who are, I don't know if I want to say it's maybe more ambitious or just want to see math at a slightly more beautiful level. I mean, sort of maybe the way mathematicians think about mathematics. A lot of you will have received an invitation to the Math 160s, and this is our honors calculus sequence. Honors calculus does cover calculus. It's true. You will revisit something like the mean value theorem, but instead of using the mean value theorem to establish some other result, we're going to prove the mean value theorem. Instead of doing an integration by parts, we're going to prove why the integration by parts theorem is true, right? So it's a very, very theoretical course. It's a beautiful course that gets you into the mind of mathematics, the way mathematics is actually done, not using mathematics as a tool, right? I think a lot of mathematics up to this point in your careers has been shown to you as a means of solving problems. And while you will still learn to solve some problems by seeing it from the theoretical point of view, the design of these Math 160s courses is to get you to prove the theorems yourself, to understand it from the nuts and bolts, from the axioms and definitions on up, and to be able to prove theorems and get ready for the next higher level of mathematics, which I'll talk about in a minute, all that stuff that's up there above the core level stuff. Having said that, there are two varieties of this honors calculus sequence, the Math 160s. The standard version is standard in the sense that it has a textbook and you have a professor who gives lectures 3 times a week, and there are problem sets every week, and there's a midterm and a final. Right? It's a normal course in that sense. The other version is called IBL, and the IBL stands for Inquiry-Based Learning. It is a type of mathematics engagement. It's a type of mathematics course that is becoming more and more popular across the country. We get a little credit for maybe not having invented it, but having adopted it early on and really made it work. And what happens in an IBL course is that it becomes even more student-centered than a standard course, where the students, you guys, are the ones at the board presenting your work on a daily basis in the class. Your work, but when did you do the work? Outside of class. You prepared to prove a theorem. And then in class, we take turns. Somebody presents, the other students ask their questions and make critiques, and we fix the proof if we need to. And then we get to the end, and at that point, maybe the professor says, oh, did you notice this on top of everything else that everybody's already commented, right? So it's a very discussion-based, very engagement-based kind of way of learning the math. Obviously, it goes a little slower, especially at the beginning, but it's deeper. So you know, which one is better? We do not say, we cannot say. We think both varieties work extremely well, and it's a matter of taste for how you would like to go about learning your mathematics if you're interested in the honors level calculus. One of the questions here, you know, the difference between the 150s and the 160s. Yeah, I think the 150s, again, are standard calculus. I mean, the emphasis as much on conceptual understanding as well as on being able to solve problems. But a lot of the work that you'll be doing will be in the solving problems variety rather than in the proving theorems variety, right? The 160s is really about proving theorems and getting you ready to take higher level mathematics like analysis and beyond. So if you're interested, so for example, one distinction you might make is to say, if you are even thinking about a mathematics major and you have been invited to the 160s, then that is definitely the option that we recommend. If you are thinking about a math major in, well, maybe a stat major, or math in computer science, or math in physics, or math in econ, or math in a whole lot of other things, but if math is one of them, 160s is still your best bet. It is the best possible preparation for the next higher level stuff. If you are interested in something that uses mathematics, and you have an option between the Math 160s and the Math 150s, let's say engineering, let's say economics, let's say computer science, we still would invite you to take 160s. 160s is not just for math majors, but now you have a real question in front of you. Do I want to sort of take the math, get it done, check the boxes, and move on and take the thing that I really want to major in? Or am I potentially interested in doing more math than is absolutely minimally required for my major? all of those majors will accept the Math 160s in place of the Math 150s, for example. But, and this is definitely a major caveat, let's say you've been placed into Math 152, but invited to Math 161. Oh, yeah, well, that's right. Because the only way it makes sense to take the Math 160s is to start at the beginning. So yes, then it would take you an extra quarter to get through your 3-quarter sequence if you were starting the 161 instead of 152. But we think that would be, again, a better preparation, getting you to really see the fullness and the depth of all that is theoretical single variable calculus. At other universities, they would probably call it an analysis course, but here we just call it honors calculus. Whew, okay. Yes. Okay. So another question while we're on the 150s and the 160s and all that stuff that's sort of down around the blue line. The question's about 153. Let's say you've gotten placed into Math 153. Then if you take and complete Math 153, then yes, you go ahead and get the back credit for 151 and 152 in terms of your core requirements at the university. And in terms of satisfying a full calculus sequence for the purposes of any major. A question here about the 152. If you take 152 or above, can you take stat 220? Ooh. I'm actually not sure.
You have to talk to the stats department.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are actually just the math department. So that would be a question for the stats department. I believe you would be allowed to, but I'm not the final authority on that.
In some cases, they allow you if your placement is 152, but I also have seen the cases when they told you that you have to actually take 152 and then go take stats 220. I'll give Professor Ball a little break to catch his breath.
No, but I'm on a roll here. Let me answer a couple questions that I see here, Dr. J. There's one here about 152. How come 152 doesn't do sequences in series? Because we're on the quarter system. In a year, Calc 3 here is just the way we divided it up by quarters. So 152 is the middle portion of a year-long sequence, and so you haven't gotten to sequences in series yet. So that's why that's in the 3rd quarter. And then let's see, there was another one that I was going to say, if you take honors IBL, I don't know, we are still actually studying that. Is it better for getting you ready for analysis? Between the two honors calculus sequences, it seems like they do equally well in getting people for the next higher level. So we wouldn't say that you should take one or the other. It really is a matter of your taste and your style of learning, I think. Okay, now I'll take advantage of whatever break you were offering.
Let me jump in because there's a lot of questions coming in about timing, whether you should take one or jump between the sequences and so on. And there's 2 critical pieces of information you need to know. And students always mess this up. Number 1, if you can, do take math course in the autumn quarter of your first year. Everyone has to take Hume. Your second course that you're bidding on should be your math course. The reason is because some of those courses are only offered in the autumn. If you do not take it in the autumn, you have to wait until your sophomore year, your second year here. And that's going to set you back into fulfillment your major because some of the majors don't let you start their sequences until the math is completed. So example here, 160s, 161 is only offered in the autumn. 162 is only offered in the winter. 163 is only offered in the spring. 151 only offered in the autumn. If you miss your 151, you cannot take 151 again until the following autumn. 152 is offered both autumn and winter, but not offered in the spring. So start the math. It's set up, the entire sequence, entire schedule of our math department schedule is set up for everyone to start the math as soon as you can. Same with 130. So 131 is only offered all sections in the autumn. We have one special section offered in the winter, but those will be for the students that took 105 in the autumn, and you might not be able to get in. So if you can start right away, jumping in between, you cannot go from 152 to 163. That's not going to be okay. If you start the 160 sequence, stay in 160s. Professor Boller will talk about jumping between IBL and non-IBL. But again, number 1 piece of advice, do start your math course as soon as you can. Second, changing of the courses, your math placement can only be done within the first 3 weeks of the quarter. You can do a course section change on your own the first week, for the second 2 weeks, you need to go through us, through math advising. You will not be able to change anything, including your placement or section, week 2 and week 3. And Friday of week 3, the system goes on a lockdown and no changes will be allowed until the winter quarter. So if you're thinking about all of this, make sure that you know the deadline is Friday of week 3 and you don't want to, it's not recommended to jump into new class at the end of week 3 when the quarters are only 9 week long.
I want to say what Professor Stanova just said, but I want to say it again because it really is important. The nature of the registration process is that until the first week, you can't make changes on your own. You can go through your advisor and get signed up for a class, but you can't make switches on your own until the first week. Then for the span of the first week, if a class is open and you have the right prerequisites or placement, then you can switch into a class on your own. But after that, for the second and third week, you're still allowed to switch, but we have to do it for you. So you have to contact one of the two of us directly to make any sort of switch at that point. And finally, the deadline is the end of third week. It's Friday of third week. And if you show up at 4:55, am I still going to be in my office on Friday of third week? Maybe, right? Don't wait until the absolute last minute. But the deadline is Friday of third week, not, and I hate the fact that I even have to say this, we used to have a special exception of fifth week, and there might be students around who will tell you, oh, it's math. You can still switch at the end of fifth week. No, that's not true anymore. It has not been true for years. Do not listen to your peers, who've been around and think they know something. No. We are telling you right here, right now, that the deadline is just like it is for the rest of all your college classes. It's Friday of third week.
There's plenty of questions coming about back credit. So let's talk about, before Professor Bola will talk about all those courses that are about that blue line that's a score. And then we have special slides to talk about higher level exams and gray zones, which some of you are placed in and so on. So that's still coming. Back credit, you have to complete a course. Let's say you got placed into 152. In order to get back credit for 151, you have to complete that course. You have to take 152 and get a quality grade. That means A, B, C, all the way to C minus to get a back credit for 151. If you're placed into 153, 152.50, 186.20, that's all the same placement across, and then 183. That's all these courses are also starting points. And you complete any of these 4 courses, you will get back credit for 151 and 152. Meaning that if you start your math journey here at the U Chicago at any of these courses, and let's say you are a molecular engineer and you just need that 180 sequence, and then you decide to minor in something else that needs calculus, you are giving back credit for those calculus classes. So you don't have to go back and retake 151 and 152. That back credit will be automatically given to you. For those of you that have this placement, 183, 152.50, 153, 186.20, and let's say you don't need to take it for your major. You are English major, you are like, I don't need this. There is a way for you to get a back credit by taking the calculus accreditation exam. And we will talk about, we have slides. You are not given back credit just by having a placement into these courses. You have to complete something, whether it's calculus class or the calculus accreditation exam. All right. John, do you want to talk about what these sequences are and what the sequences are for?
I think it's still profitable to talk about what we've got right here in front of us. So for example, those 4 courses that I just put into a big yellow box, those 4 courses are sort of equivalent level placements. It looks like 196 follows from 152.50. That's not actually a requirement. Neither one's a prerequisite for the other. All 4 courses are sort of at the same level of placement, and it's up to you to choose which one is most appropriate depending on your major. The reason we put 196.20 above 152.50 is because those 2 courses are mostly taken by folks in economics. And as far as economics is concerned, you need the topics of 152.50 before you need the topics of 196.20. So you would be eligible to take 196.20, but you don't actually need that in your econ major till much later, which is why we put the 152.50 first. But all four of those courses are at the same level, and you would choose among them based on your particular interests. If you are interested in the physical sciences, so chemistry, physics, engineering, etc., then 183 is probably your starting point. If you're interested in economics, then 150-250 is probably your starting point. 196 is an option, and then 153 is also an option if you're thinking like, hey, no, actually, wait a minute, I want to see calculus all the way through, and then have an option of maybe going into Math 159 or into other courses, whether it's stat or anywhere else. But all four of those are at the same level, so you can choose among them depending on your interests. In terms of the offerings, we were talking about when are these courses offered? Here are the courses that are offered in the autumn. 131. You cannot start in Math 132 in the autumn. If you're ready for the second quarter of calculus, then you better be ready for 152, not 132. 151 is offered in the autumn. 152 is offered in the autumn. Anything in yellow is offered in the autumn. And Math 161, both versions, offered in the autumn. 162 is not offered in the autumn. You can't start in the second quarter of honors calculus.
And 105, John.
Well, yeah, I was going to get to that, right. And then the pre-calculus is definitely also offered in the autumn. So anything in red or yellow is offered in the autumn. Those are all available as a starting point. But what Professor Stanova was saying is that, for example, Math 151 is not offered in the winter. So you can't start your calculus if you're in the regular track, Math 150s, with 151 in the winter. It's not even offered. So that's to her point of saying start your math right away. Also, Math 161 honors calculus is not offered in the winter. If you're going to take honors calculus, you should start in the autumn and take the whole sequence. Math 131 is the exception. Math 131 is offered in the winter because of the folks who took 105 first, right? So we do have an off-quarter sequence that goes 105, 131, 132 from autumn, winter to spring. And the courses in yellow are offered every single quarter.
For the 131 in the winter, if you have placement 131 right now, take 131 in the autumn. Do not wait until the winter, because that class is for the students that took 105 and you might not be able to get in. It's always full from 105 students. And if there might be only one spot and there's 16 students that did not start 131 in the autumn, and then you have to wait until the autumn if you're second year. So let's say you're a molecular engineer. Now you are already here at UChicago for 5 years, because if you cannot start 180 sequence, you cannot get into your molecular engineering major. So if you have placement on 31, take it right away. Or any placement you have, take the math class right away. What is offered in the winter? 132 is offered in the winter. 152 and all of these yellow classes are offered in the winter. And then 162 is offered in the winter. But not 151, not 131, not 105. Okay, let's talk about the physical science sequence and the social science sequence, John, so we can get to the gray zone slide.
So now everything above the blue, again, the blue line distinguishes the courses that are considered courses in the core as far as the college is concerned. Anything below the blue line is a core course for the purposes of your general education requirements at the university. Which, by the way, also means that they cannot be taken for pass-fail grading. No course below the blue line can be taken for pass-fail grading. Anything above is allowed to be taken for pass-fail grading, but nothing below. Okay, but then above the blue line, well, you've got all these sort of options, and roughly speaking, they're grouped to the left for students going into the physical sciences. There's a 4-course sequence. In the middle left, the social sciences, mostly for folks going into economics. And then up to the right, that's for the math major and folks who want to do more mathematics. And that's not even the half of it. This is a simplified diagram. There's a whole lot more courses in the math major up above what you see on this diagram. This is for explaining to people who are getting started in their first and second year what the options look like. So starting from left to right, then the physical sciences sequence is a 4-course sequence that is roughly meant to be taken in order. There's a bit of a between 180. The only exception in there is that You do have to take 184 and 185 both before 186, but it's not a strict requirement that you do 184 before 185, I suppose. But in any case, you should just be thinking in terms of basically it's a 4-course sequence, and it covers everything you need from linear algebra to multivariable calculus to the theorems of vector calculus to differential equations to applications of things in quantum mechanics and all the way up, right? It's a pretty packed 4-course sequence. It's been very, very carefully designed in consultation with our colleagues in engineering and physics and chemistry and everywhere else. And it's great mathematics, but it's very much practical mathematics in the sense of the kinds of things you're going to need in your physical sciences major. So if you have a choice between, let's say, the 180s and the 160s, I guess it depends on what your emphasis is going to be. Is it possible to take the 180s and still be a math major? Sure. There's a different path upward. I'll mention this course 15910. You sort of see it in the middle of the diagram there. There's a potential way to get back into the math major. But if you're kind of hot to trot and ready to go and I want to get started in my engineering major, then yeah, you should take the math 180s. That's what that sequence is designed for. On the other hand, if you have 160s and 180s and you're more inclined toward the math side of things, well, then do the 160s first, please, we're asking you. And then if you're good enough and you like it enough and you keep going up, you're going to take analysis and you're going to see the math from a different perspective because we're going to prove all the theorems and all of the beautiful applications along the way. But you might not then have to go take all those Math 180s courses at all because your physics major would accept the fact that, oh, I went and took analysis instead. So it is a little bit of a tough choice, I'll grant you, right? But if you are, let's say, a physics major and not a math major, sure, the 180s might be right for you. But if you're a physics major who might want to also double major, again, we sort of think the 160s is the better way to go on that.
If you're a physics major that wants to double major with econ, it's still 180s. 180s trumps any econ courses. The econ department will take 180s instead of 152.50 or 153 or 196. So if you don't know what to take, and you are like, well, I might be econ, I might be physics, I might be some other physical science, the 180 sequence will be for you, unless you're a math major. If you think just a little bit that there is a chance you're going to be math major, it's 160s. Every single department will take 160. That trumps it all. 160s is higher than any other sequence here that's listed. Econ will love you if you take 160s, and physics department will also love you if you take 160s, especially if you then go to take some upper level analysis classes. So 160s trumps it all. Between econ and physical sciences, 180s trumps it. And then the rest of it, the 152.50, 153, econ recommends to take 152.50 first. If you have both placements, take 152.50 first, or you can take 2 math classes in the autumn quarter. It's going to be a lot of time in a library. But if you are deciding between the two, 152.50 first, and then 153. 152.50 will prepare you for Econ 200, which is your first standard Econ sequence. All right, John, go ahead.
So to the point, the middle 2 courses there of that hat-shaped thing in yellow, right? So 152.50 and 196.20 are the 2 upper level mathematics courses that standard track econ majors take. They are also required to finish off the 3rd quarter of calculus with 153. The business track does not require those upper 2 courses. So presumably the reason you're in the room here is because you did well enough on the placement test that you should be taking those higher level math classes. But yeah, the econ is more generous in that sense. They will accept the 180s. They'll accept the 160s and various other things instead of the 152.50 and the 196.20. There's a question about taking an econ class before taking some of these. I don't know that that's required, but again, we're not the econ department, so I would say that you should probably talk to somebody in econ about that. I don't think it's necessary to have taken an econ course to get into these 2 math courses. There will be more econ applications, but it's definitely not a requirement to have had econ first. The question about 160s, again, 160s versus 180s versus the other ones. If you have an option for 160s and you're even thinking that the door is open to a possible math major, then definitely. And even if you're not thinking about a math major, even if you're just going to go do physics or chemistry, but like, no, but I'm good enough at math, I want to take it at a high level, then yes, go ahead. Great. We love bringing students into the 160s and showing them how it's really done, so. Computer science, well, weirdly, there isn't a huge math requirement in computer science, and yet mathematics and computer science are kind of joined at the hip, right? So you probably want to be taking some math along the way toward your computer science major. Uh, I actually don't think they even care all that much in terms of which ones they require. But yeah, I mean, we have plenty of math majors who double major with computer science and vice versa. So yeah, in that case, well, sure, why not? Why not take the 160s? But in terms of what's actually required for the CS major, again, talk to somebody in computer science, but I don't think anything beyond regular calculus is required for that major. Somebody did ask a question along the way about what in the math major for a moment, do we require other courses? We do. We require courses from the physical sciences, not specifically physics. It could be anything from the physical sciences division of courses, the entire array of departments that ranges from statistics to computer science to physics to chemistry to engineering and geophysical sciences. So there's lots of options, but in the math major, that's true. We do require some courses from the physical sciences departments. To Professor Stenova's comment earlier about taking two math classes in the same quarter, especially in the autumn. I wouldn't recommend that. We do have a sort of an option built in that if you're doing well in the autumn and winter, that we start to sort of open the door that maybe you might want to take two in the spring of your first year, but generally speaking, no, you shouldn't be taking two math classes in the autumn. So for example, there's a question about 150, 250, and 161. No.
If you're econ and math double major, you take 160s. 160s trump, again, 160s will trump all your econ prep classes. They will love you if you take 160s. That's the top econ majors are in our 160s. So if you have that invite, go take 160s. If you are physics and computer science, if you have any inclination to math, take 160s. If you are like, okay, I will never be math major, then you should go 180 sequence. Same for chemistry. Chemistry, if you have inclination that you might want to do some math, go take 160s. Chemistry department will take it. Otherwise, go take 180s. If you're pre-med, biology, life sciences, then they just want you to take calculus sequence of any form, whether it's 130s, 150s, or 160s. They give you a choice. So I would just go with your placement, whatever your placement is.
Okay, so what happens beyond this diagram? Let's finish off this diagram. We'll get to another slide here and continue the conversation. But above the courses that we've just talked about, again, to the left, the Math 180 sequence is basically for the physical sciences students. That's engineering, chemistry, and physics especially, but for other people who are just in the physical sciences set of majors. The courses that are under SOC-Sci, 150, 250, and 196, 20, and also 153 for the standard econ track. Those are, again, for the social scientists, especially the econ majors. Everything else up to the right is for math majors. Or even if you're not a math major, you can take those courses, but you'll be taking those courses alongside math majors, right? Those courses were designed for math majors. And the two stepping stones, they're sort of co-equal there, are 159, 10, and 163. So 163 is obviously for people who took 161 and 162. You're taking a year-long sequence that gets you ready to take upper-level courses in analysis and beyond. 159 is kind of sitting off there to the side. Nobody takes both 159 and 163. That doesn't even make sense. What is the point of 159? The point of 159 is it's a one-quarter course in proofs where you've already had calculus, not necessarily from a theoretical point of view, but you've already had plenty of calculus, but you've never really done the proofs part. Yes, I said there were some proofs in 150s, but not that many, not like the 160s. But this is the way to get you ready to really prove things when you start taking abstract linear algebra, when you take analysis in RN, when you take abstract algebra, and so on. So 159 is a one-quarter course to bring you back over into the upper-level math courses. Is it better than the 160s? Well, it's shorter, but it's not better. No. If you're choosing between the 160s and the 159, choose the 160s. It is 159 is we're doing the best we can to get you ready, even though you went off on a different path to begin with, in a sense, right? Like, hey, I came in, I'm going to do my engineering major, 180s. I take 183, 184, 185, 186. It's great. I love it. And then I do my engineering courses, but you know what? I kind of want to take more math. Well, there's no more math to take at that point unless you come back over and take something like analysis. And the way you get into that at that point is by taking 159. It's a bridge course. It's a way of transitioning back onto a theoretical math track if you did not already have the option or take the Math 160s. We would not ask somebody in their second year or their third year to go back and start in the 160s again. No, at that point, you switch and you take 159 and move up from there. 159 was never meant to be for first year students. It was meant to be a transition course for people who waited, discovered a love of math later, had already started taking other math courses, more practical math courses, and then moved over. But okay, everybody who wants to take upper level math should have some proofs, and that should either be the 160s or Math 159-10. After that, now you're really in the math major. And that would include 20250, the abstract linear algebra course. It would include the analysis sequences over there to the right. And despite the weird picture and numbering scheme, there's actually 4 varieties. There's regular, accelerated, IBL, and honors, which I don't know that today is the day for that conversation. We're going to have the higher level placement test, which we will talk about. And then after that, we'll have another webinar where we talk about the analysis options and so on. But then the part of the diagram that's not even drawn includes algebra courses, topology courses, electives in all of the areas of mathematics, the rest of the math major, the study abroad program in Paris, and so on. So there's lots and lots more math courses that go up the tree from there.
Okay. Again, just to remind everyone, the stuff that's circled in yellow is offered every quarter. So 183 is offered every quarter, 152.50, 153, and 186.20. So let's say you're starting 152, you're a molecular engineer. Yes, you can continue straight into 183 in the winter quarter. Those are offered around the year, every quarter. All right, let us get to next couple of slides, and then we will still have plenty of time at the end to answer all your questions.
In fact, it is still true. Even after I add these in, every single one of those courses is offered every quarter, including abstract linear algebra, including analysis, including the proofs course, right? It's these narrower ones like the 160s or the honors analysis, which are not offered every day. They are offered autumn, winter, spring in the standard order. Okay.
All right, so let me get to the next slide. John, I'm going to ask you maybe to erase of this. So there has been a couple of questions already in Q&A about, well, I sort of have an invitation to all of it and I have placement to all the courses. What does that mean? John already talked about that first bullet point. If you place into 105, that does not satisfy the math sciences. It's just for you to get ready for 131. But I'm talking about that second bullet point, which is called the gray zone. For example, you can see on a canvas that you got placed into Math 152 or Math 153, 152, 50, 183, 186.20. Okay, what does this mean? Because you seem to have placement into all of it. That means that when we look at your scores, you were right on the cutoff line between the level 152 and the level above. And so we created what we call a gray zone. So those are a couple points up and down, and you have a choice to register or pre-register yourself to either of these courses. And many students, let's say, just say, oh, I think I'm pretty strong in math. I'm gonna go up. And then during V1, you're like, whoa, this is too fast. I don't get it. I need to slow down. And because you have the gray zone placement, you can just switch yourself down to the lower level on your own. You don't need us or your college advisor or anything because you are in a gray zone. You have placement both up and down. So you can choose, and you can also choose based on your major. So let's say you are econ major. You start in 152.50 and it's not going well that first week or even week 2, then go down to 152 and take 152.50 in the autumn quarter. Pre-register for either one of them. Again, you will have a choice to switch your course up or down during week 1. You can still switch your course during the week 2 and week 3, because again, the deadline is Friday of week 3, but you have to go through us. Week 2 and week 3, you satisfy the change. You can go up and down, but you're unable to do it on your own through Canvas anymore. You have to involve the math department. Invitations, so those are not the placements, they are just an optional courses for you to take. You will see invitations to either 183, 161, or the higher level exam that will say something like MHLI, Math Higher Level Exam Invite. What does that mean? Well, that means that, let's say you placed into 152, but you were just not as strong for us to put you in that higher level placement, but you were stronger than the rest of the 152s. So we gave you an option to start in 183. So this is typically for physical science majors that are a little bit stronger of that 152 pool. So you can elect to take 183 in your first quarter. And then if you complete 183 with quality grade, you will get a back credit for 151, 152. And then we talk about invitations to 160s. These are all optional. You can decide to start taking 160s and then go back to your original placement after week 1 if it's not going well. Okay, so, well, how do we schedule advising appointment? That was on that preceding slide. You have to wait until September 16 because we don't have access to the schedule until then. That's when AdDrop opens for returning students, and then you will send email to mathadvising@uchicago.edu. You can rewatch the recording and schedule a day and time to meet with one of us. For classes up to 180s, you will go and meet me. For anything above 180s, you will go and meet Professor Waller. Other than 159.10, you will also go meet him. Okay. So let's talk about this higher level exam. So some of you that got placed into highest possible placement. So that is the placement into 153, 152, 50, 183, 183, or 186.20. Also saw an invitation. Oh, sorry, this is the calculus accreditation exam. Let me
Well,
talk
it's
about
both,
that
right?
first.
It's both.
There's both.
And by the way, congratulations. There are a couple of hundred of you who got these invitations. So yeah, well done.
So calculus accreditation exam, you got a highest placement, but you don't need to take any math class because you're a math major or you're majoring in something that just does not require any math. But just placing into these classes doesn't mean that you're gonna get back credit for 151 and 152. In order to get the back credit, you need to take something that's called calculus accreditation exam. If you plan to take any math class with us, then you don't need to take this exam. This is only for people that have the highest placement and plan to not ever take any math class ever. You are just taking this exam to satisfy the back credit, 151, 152, so you don't have to take any math class ever in your 4 years here. The email will be sent out to all the students with the highest placement because we don't know your plans, we don't know your major. And then you need to choose. If you know that you are gonna be taking any math class, then you don't take this exam. You don't fill out the Google form, just not look at it. But if you are English major that does not need any math class, then you do need to take this calculus accreditation exam in order to satisfy the mathematical sciences. So you will go ahead, that will be linked to Google form. You will fill out the Google form and you will be enrolled in a Canvas course. The calculus accreditation exam has a similar format as your placement exam. It's on a Canvas. It will be scheduled online during 24-hour window between Tuesday, September 3rd. So this is right after Labor Day, and Wednesday, September 4th. Because we don't know your time zone, some of you are international students, so you just take it in your own time zone. It's for 100 minutes. And then this exam is not graded automatically by the system. It's actually graded by all of our professors. We actually go in and now we look at individual scores and answers to all the questions. And then we get your results back to the college by that Friday, and they will release it to the AIS, which is the Academic Information System. And they will let you know whether either, yes, you passed the calculus accreditation exam and you're given back credit, and congratulations, you never have to see any of us again or take any math class, or you did not pass the exam, in which case you need to register for a math class. One math class of your choosing out of the 4 options, 153, 152, 50, 183, or 186, to get yourself a back credit for the 151, 152.
So let me just, again, I'll give Dr. Stanova a chance to catch her breath. Let me just say that some of that again, right? The reason to take this exam is because you placed out of second quarter calculus. You placed into 153, 152.50, 183, 196, but actually you don't need math in your major. You don't really want to take a math class anyway. I'd rather take the other great things that the University of Chicago has to offer. Okay, great. We encourage that. But if you want the credit for 151 and 152, then this is your way to get it. The placement test you took earlier this summer showed great. That was great, but it doesn't count for credit until you take the calculus accreditation exam. And it is offered in this 24-hour window. So basically it's noon on Tuesday the 3rd through noon on Wednesday the 4th, Central Time, Chicago time. If you're in Europe or China or wherever around the world, it's do it off of Central Time, right? It's noon to noon. There's a 24-hour window, and you can do it whenever you want in there, but it's based off of Central Time.
And it's the same format as the placement exam. So once you start the exam, you cannot pause it. You have to take it and finish all the way through. You cannot be like, oh, I think I need to study a little bit more or something, and pause the exam and you want to go study and go back to it. Once the clock starts, you're on 100 minutes and then the window will close and you will never get the second chance. This is also important. We always have students coming in your second year telling us, oh, I forgot to take math class, but I also want to take the placement exam again because I think I can do better. That's not an option. You only get one chance for placement exam, one chance for calculus accreditation exam, and one chance for higher level exam in your time at UChicago. No one takes the placement test or anything else twice. You're already all taken the placement test. That was your one chance. If you want to take calculus accreditation exam, you will get one chance, and only in that window. There'll be students that'll be like, oh, I don't have time, I'm traveling, blah, 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 blah. Sorry, this is the only time that the math professors are able to actually grade your exams, because then we go in and we have to teach our own courses and we will not have time to go back and grade any exams, whether it's the calculus accreditation exam or the higher level exam.
There is one thing we should add, and I feel like we were remiss, Dr. J, about I said correctly that if you wanted to do the mathematical sciences core requirement by taking calculus, you needed to get through at least the second quarter of calculus. There are other options for satisfying the mathematical sciences requirements, and that does include taking courses in statistics, courses in computer science, and so on, right? It's just that most majors on campus require some calculus. So it winds up just being the case that like way more than 90% of the students wind up doing their core requirement in calculus. And if you do it that way, then you do have to get through at least second quarter. But there do exist other options. Even we have those courses. I said I was going to go back and mention them, 112, 113. Those are math core requirement courses for people who would like to take a math class at the college level, but without it being calculus. I just want to satisfy the core requirement. Let's again say a history major or somebody like that who, yeah, I want to take a cool math class, but I just don't want to have to take calculus again. Great. That's what 112 or 113 are about. And that's why you might also take a course in stat or computer science. There's a number of ways to satisfy the core requirement without calculus. It's just that most people actually take calculus.
Okay, so let's talk about the higher level exam. Again, congratulations. There's only about 200 of you, maybe I think 220 that got this invitation. It's for the students that want to start their first math course in a courses beyond calculus or honors calculus. In other words, you think that you have already learned everything that you can possibly learn from 160s, and you want to start your first autumn course in our second year courses. If you have received an invitation to the higher level exam, which on Canvas, it will say MHLI or something along those lines, Math Higher Level Exam Invitation, we will be sending Professor Boller and I an email to all of those students with this invitation that will have a link to Google form. You will fill out the Google form and be enrolled in the Canvas course. The instruction about the exams will be available to you once you open that Canvas invitation. The exam is scheduled at the same time as the calculus accreditation exam, which means Tuesday at noon, September 3rd, it opens. It stays open through Wednesday at noon, September 4th. It takes 120 minutes. You can take it at any point during that 24-hour window. But once you start the exam, you have to complete a 2-hour test on time. You cannot pause it. Again, it will be graded. We go in, the professors at the math department will be graded by professors, and we will figure out your scores and your new placement by Friday and then release it back to your college advisors and the academic information system. And then there will be a high-level math webinar and live Q&A, similar format as this one, in the week after. So that will be the week of September 9. It will be recorded and it will be directly sent through the Canvas link. So those of you that will be taking this exam will be an open to just log in to the webinar through that Canvas. A format, it's both. It's a multiple choice and free response. So there's gonna be a long description of things that you need to get ready before you start the exam, and that description will be available to you once we enroll you in. So it will say prepare, paper, prepare pencil, make sure that you can take a picture of whatever proofs that you're writing that you will need to upload. Give yourself enough time during those 120 minutes to upload your free responses and so on. So there's going to be a major description on Canvas once you get enrolled in a course that you can read for yourself. It will have all the instructions and all the information about the test. John, is there anything that you want to add? I'm just trying to...
I mean, there are questions in the chat about how to prepare. I mean, I wouldn't just go in absolutely cold, but we're going to ask questions on a lot of different topics, including some things in multivariable to see if you know anything there, and things in linear algebra, more advanced topics in calculus, and there's going to be some proofs, right? Like it's too broad. I mean, we're not, we definitely don't publish an official list of things, but like I wouldn't say, oh, I'm fine because I took, my last math class back when high school ended back in May, right? I mean, I'd look over a few things but we want to see what you know, right? So don't try to learn and cram new topics and convince us that you already have mastered something that you haven't. Just know the things you know and be able to solve problems and do some proofs. Yeah.
If you then get a new placement, higher level placement, and you take any math class, the analysis 159 and so on, you automatically get a back credit for calculus. So you don't have to go back and retake 150s or 160s or anything. That
Well, you
credit
get the back credit once you actually take a course. Right?
once you take
Doing this is take a higher level course, and once you take that course, you get the back credit.
What placement can you get from the higher level exam? Well, that depends how well you do. There's multiple options, and that's why there will be that second webinar that will talk about what those options are and what your options will be to register for what type of analysis and so on.
And also, just to be clear, you can't do worse somehow. Like you already have your minimum placement now. And then if you take the next test, you can only do better, right? So if you, let's say, have a 160s invitation and you either just you kind of blow it or whatever, it doesn't matter. You still have your 160s invitation, right? So you can't ruin an opportunity that you already have. You can only do better.
Can you request to sit on a math higher level exam if you think that the older online placement wasn't representative of your math skills or your level? That's not an option.
Well, that
If you have
said,
taken math placement last year and you did not get a higher level exam invite.
Wait, you took it last year? That doesn't make sense. No. But we have made the occasional exception. Look, we have some cutoff scores and we have ways of deciding who gets an invitation. If you are hot to trot and ready to go and you think you really maybe should have gotten a chance at the higher level, you can email me or Math Advise, actually, but email Math Advising. And we have made a couple exceptions in the past.
So let me go back to these emails. You actually should email Math Advising. I think there was a question in a chat about scheduling advising appointments or what opens on September 16. AdDrop opens for returning students. That's when we can change your placements. But if you think that you should get the math higher level exam invite because you might messed up your placement and you think you were pretty close to the invitation, email Math Advising. We will look at your scores. Not everyone that will email will automatically get in. We will really look at your scores, how close we were to that cutoff line to the higher level exam. And if we think that you are very close to cutoff, we might give you that exception, and you will get a Google form to get invited to the higher level exam. There has been question if you have an invitation to higher level exam, whether you should register for 160s. Yes, you can go ahead. Because if you bombed the higher level exam and you did not register for math course, then you're here at orientation week and you have no math course on your schedule. And now you have to wait until Monday of week 1 before you can add any math. And 160s can get filled up, especially the IBL versions. So definitely pre-register for the math course, whatever you have, even if you have that invitation to higher level exam, because things can only improve. But we definitely have students that take the higher level exam and they don't improve, which means you did not do well enough to be moved to the higher placement. Yeah, no, we don't release any cutoff scores for anything. No, these are internal documents. Okay, let me go back to, oh, that was the end. So again, our emails if you need to, but the most important email is this one, mathadvising@uchicago.edu, and the September 16 deadline. So I'm gonna take that that slideshow off, and then we still have plenty of time, so we can start answering your questions live as we see them in a chat.
So actually, before you take the slides off, Dr. J, would you go back and put our emails, the slide that had our 2 emails on there?
Yeah.
Because the other thing that we should mention is that if you are interested in being on the math department mailing list, please email both of us, the second and third people on that list, not Professor Pfefferman, but email the both of us requesting to be on the class of 28 math major mailing list, or math interest. It's not even math majors. You don't have to be a math major, but just to find out about upcoming talks and seminars and opportunities and jobs and things like that. So if you're interested in being on the math mailing list, please email the both of us.
All right, so let's start looking at those questions. I'm gonna take them from the top. So there is a question about AP credit. AP AB5 will get you in Math 151. BC4 will get you into 151, and BC5 will get you into 152. That's all we take. And then IBHL7 has the same equivalent as our BC5, so you will get 152 placement. IBHL7 and BC5s will also get invitation to 160s.
Right. So just to be clear, then an AB 3 or 4 doesn't get you anything.
Anything. And we will be able to see it when we discuss your placement, but those are not higher enough placements for us to get you into 151. Second question, does 180 sequence cover multivariable more comprehensive than 160s? These are completely different sequences. 160s is a proof writing sequence. Proofs in calculus, but everything from proof perspective. 180s is more applied computational sequence that chemists and molecular engineers need, and so on. 160s will teach you basically the theory, and the computation you can still do on the side. 180s will only teach you what you probably saw in your high school math class. Here's the formula, and plug the formula in on the on this example. 160s will be like derive the formula and then plug it in.
I mean, 180s goes well beyond what you would have seen content-wise in your high school classes, because it is all that multivariable. It's the vector calculus, it's the linear algebra, it's the differential equations, and so on. Where 160s is still single variable calculus, but it's analysis. So again, you're seeing it from an extremely theoretical point of view. And then in the what we call the analysis sequence that you might take in your second year, that's where you get the coverage of all those topics in the multivariable and then differential equations beyond that. Actually, there's a 2-course sequence in abstract differential equations. It's at a very high level for the math majors. So the topics of 180 show up in different places in the math major.
Yeah, math major multi, you will see in your second year analysis sequences. There's a question, if there is no autumn quarter math, do you just not take math till winter? There is always math in the autumn quarter. So all the placements, all possible placements we have, all those starting points have a class happening in the autumn quarter. So again, you should take the math class in the autumn quarter. We have about 84% of incoming class takes the math class. Do not delay, because the classes can close. And if you decide to take math your second year, first year incoming students have priority over math classes. The first year classes, then the second year students. So second year students have to wait until all the first years pre-register for math, and then they can pre-register themselves. And so your desired class might no longer be open. Your desired time might no longer be open. So if you can take math, take it right away in the autumn quarter.
So well, the next question, I think we sort of just answered that if you take 160s, then you get the content of all that multivariable grade stuff in the analysis sequence that you might take in your second year mostly. Is it okay to take a stat course alongside a math course in the autumn? Yeah, sure. I mean, I would think that as entering first years, you would want to balance your schedules to some extent, but yeah, there's no rule against taking a stat class alongside a math class. That would be all right. For getting placement, how do you get into the 180s? Well, hopefully many of you got directly placed into it. If you did not yet get placed into it, well, then you might take, let's say, Math 151 and 152 first and move your way up into the 180s. That's perfectly natural as well. You don't have to start in the 180s in order to take them. But we do want to make sure that your single variable calculus is more than solid. So if you're placed into, if you want to take 180s, because I want to be an engineering major, let's say, but my placement is 152. Well, that's fine. Take 152, and then you take 183 in the winter. Again, we take all of those 180s courses. They're available all the time. Every autumn, winter, and spring, all 4 of them are available. So just start wherever your placement says to start and move on up toward them.
How likely are you to receive 160s if you pre-register for them? Is it guaranteed? Yes, you will definitely get into 160s. It might not be ideal version. Those might be busy, but if you choose, no one wants to take class at 8 a.m. in the morning or even 8:30. So if you bid on any of those early classes, you will definitely get in.
Actually, that raises a different question. So we in the math department have a philosophy that if you are qualified to take a course, we will let you take it. We won't guarantee that you can take it at your preferred time, but we will always make that course available to you. Even if we have to go over enrollment limits. So if all of the sections are full, we've got 5 sections of Math 150 to 50, and they're all full, but you want to take it and we check and you've got the prerequisites, okay, then we'll find a space for you. So we will, but again, prioritizing your time, like you want to pre-register for things, you want to try to get on top of things so that you do get your preferred time, because we won't force you into, oh, but I have to have this professor. Well, no, there's open spaces in the other 3 sections. That's not okay.
With one exception, we will try to get you in, but there must be room in the classroom. Classrooms are in a
Also that.
shortage. If there is no spare chair in the classroom, then we cannot get you in because it's against the fire code. And the registrar will always try to do the best to move the class to the bigger room, but they might not be available. So again, don't delay. Pre-register, get into math class as soon as you can.
Here we go. This is a subtle question. So yes, the standard, let's just say you're a math major and you take Math 160s in your first year. Wonderful. Then you want to take analysis in your second year, 20345, or even accelerated version of that, or the IBL version of that. Great. But then wait a minute, there was that abstract linear algebra course. When are you supposed to take that? And it is true that that is required before the second quarter of your analysis sequence. So how am I supposed to fit that in? Well, one way would be to take it alongside the first quarter of the analysis sequence in the autumn of your second year. But another way, if you're doing well, you might be to take it alongside Math 163 in the spring of your first year. And that's an option that we like to make available to some of our students who are getting, let's say, A minuses or better. We want to make sure that you're going to be able to handle 2 pretty abstract math courses at the same time. But so that's right. 20250, the abstract linear algebra course, is required before the second quarter of analysis, but there's options on how you can fit it in. You can double up with 163, you can double up with 203, you can just take 202 in the autumn and then start 203 in the winter, and so on. We can talk about that as you go, but that is true that you do have to have it before 204.
What opens on September 16th? It's a drop for returning students, so not for you. You will get your chance your second, third, and fourth year. That's when you can start changing your classes, but the entire system goes live. So for us, that means that we can help you with a change of placement or get into a class that you possibly, let's say you bid on something 160s or maybe not 160, something else you didn't get in. We will be able to get you in on the September 16. We are just not able to help you before September 16 because the system is locked. How do you schedule a math appointment? Email mathadvising@uchicago.edu. Wait until September 16. If you email now, there's absolutely nothing we can do unless you think that you should have received invitation to higher level exam. Then email now, because we can then look at your scores and get you that invite to the Canvas course. But if you're just, asking for change of the placement or trying to get in the class and so on, then we can't really help you right now. So wait until September 16 and we'll be available for one-on-one Zoom appointments or even in the office appointments.
Okay. Can everything said of a math major be generalized to the CAM major? Roughly speaking, yes, because you are entering first-year students and you're making your starting course choices. If you're thinking about a CAM major, and CAM is computational applied mathematics, it's sort of a hybrid major that lives in between the stat and computer science and math departments, then yes, you should think of yourself as a math major for the purposes of this conversation, in the sense of you're going to have to take analysis at least anyway from us in the math department. So you should plan on taking the Math 160s and then analysis, and then you can get into those more specialized hybrid courses that live a little bit in between the departments. But you would be taking at least 2 years worth of math as if you were a math major.
For econ and data science major, is it better to start in 161 or 159 and then till 250? Well, you don't have an invitation or startup point 159.10. You only can get it after higher level exam. So you can start 152 unless you get to take that higher level exam and then get an startup point 159.10 or 250. But in general, for econ wants 160s if you can. If you're capable of handling 160s, they want 160s. Econ standard truck just wants 152.50 first. If you have placement into 152.50, then 153, then 186 or whatever, and then econ 200.
Okay, next question. If you take 160s, doesn't it take longer to get through some things than if you take 152 or 153? Potentially. Yes, it does. So why should you do it? Well, because it's better. But actually, if you start at 152, it actually winds up taking the same amount of time, because then you would have to take 152, 153, and then 159, the proofs course, in order to get up to analysis or abstract linear algebra, where if you do 160s, you take 161, 162, 163, and then abstract linear algebra or analysis. So if your choice is between 161 and 152 and you're worried about time, there's no time savings by going to 152. If you're starting 153, yeah, I suppose you save a quarter, because you could take 153 and then 159 and then be up at the next level. That's only 2 courses instead of the 3 that it would take to do 160s. But again, the 160s are just better. So that's why you would take the 160s. Should you take 152.50 or 153 first? So let's say you're a standard track econ major and your options include those 4 courses that I put in the yellow box a while ago. I'd say 153 first. It's the
No, John. Econ department
Oh, that's true. Oh, they
actually
want
recommends,
152.50
econ
first.
department recommends
Yeah. No, that's
152.50
true.
first, optimization first.
I'm answering
then
too much like a
153.
mathematician, but yeah, no, that's right. They do prefer the 152.50 first if you're going to be a standard econ track. That's true.
I see there's no math included in general education for molecular engineering. Does it mean I can start major right away? There is a hidden requirement there, because if you start at 183 and you complete 183 with quality grade, you get automatically back credit for 151 and 152. So they sort of assume that you can either start in 183 or you're starting in 152. Once you complete 152 in the autumn, you get back credit for 151 satisfying math sciences, and you continue into math 180s, because they know that you need to get through math 180s in order to satisfy molecular engineering, which gives you automatically back credit for calculus class. So they don't list it on their website because they know
They're sort of
along
cheating
the
that
way.
way. So that way it looks like there aren't as many requirements because they got so many requirements in their major.
Does the placement from the higher level exam depend on overall score or components? All of it.
Yeah.
We will look all of it, and based on how you did on everything, including multiple choice and all the free responses, we will decide where you belong.
Yeah,
Do
we
you
have
work?
subsections that, oh, on this particular topic, how did you do? On the proofs, how did you do? On the, like we really, really, it matters a lot how you do on the whole.
Okay. Is the calculus accreditation exam all multiple choice? Not all. There is also some free response. You will, if once we enroll you in a class, you will see the long description of what is needed to prepare for the calculus accreditation exam. Can I take stats courses if I pass the exams? Yes. You might need to involve your college advisor when you're registering for stat courses, because they will receive an okay from us that you pass the calculus accreditation exam, but it will not show up necessarily on your Canvas or AIS on time. So your college advisor will then be able to help you to get into stats. AP BC5 can get you invite to 160s. So yes, BC5 is automatic invitation to our 160s. So if you have submitted those scores to the college, you have received invitation to 160s.
Let's see. Placement into the higher level exam mandatory. No. Of course, the higher level exam is an invitation only, right? That is, if you have a, let's say, a Math 153 placement right now and you're happy with it, great. There's no need to take the higher level exam at all. No, that is totally by invitation. If you feel like, well, wait a minute, the placement test didn't really show, I actually know some stuff beyond that, and I would like the ability to demonstrate that, that's why you would take the higher level exam. No. If you're happy with your placement, there's no need to take one of these exams at all. Math 196.20, that is, again, we just call it Math 196. There is a non-zero digit in the tens place there, but we just say Math 196. That is a fairly standard computational linear algebra class, right? You learn how to solve problems up through eigenvalues and eigenspaces and all that kind of stuff. But it's the linear algebra not for math majors, where 20250, that's the linear algebra for math majors, is essentially the difference there. 196 is just good practical linear algebra for folks who are going into the social sciences.
If you're invited to 160 sem pre-register, are you guaranteed a class or should you have a backup plan? Yeah, you will get in. You might not get into IBL version, but you will definitely get in. We have plenty space in the regular 160s. And then you can always wait until September 16. If you see an opening in IBL class on September 16 in the morning at 9 a.m. when the system opens, you will email Math Advising and will say, I got into 160s regular, but I really want to try IBL class. I see an opening on the class schedule on Tuesday at 9:30. Can I get in? And you will get to talk to Professor Buller, who will check, did you satisfy all the prerequisites, see your placement score and so on. And if there is a room and you are first on the list that emailed us, then he will just enroll you in and you will get an email from us that will say you have been enrolled in IBL version and you're good to go. Is it a good idea for biochem or chem major to take 183? Yes, you're required as a major. Any physical science major, unless you're also math major, then take 160s. But if you're just physical science major and not math, you must take 180s.
What kind of math experience do students that place into analysis typically have? Well, typically you've seen some theoretical stuff, and typically you've probably seen some multivariable and beyond. Yeah, you really have to show us that you know a lot. And not just, there's a really good high school calculus class. No, that's not enough. It usually has to go beyond that in a significant way. What's the general workload for a first-year math class? Well,
it's 10 hours during regular week. The first 3 weeks, putting 15. If you are putting 20 or 30, you're in the wrong math class. If you're putting 2, you're also in the wrong math class. 10 is the general, I think we had done studies that 10 is the general average middle of the quarter. Other than midterms and final, then you're putting way more time, but you should be spending about 10 hours. And that includes time going to the class, time spending on homework, visiting office hours, and so on. So as you start taking those classes, judge your time those first week or maybe first 2 weeks. And if you're putting way more time or if you're struggling with the homework, you need to schedule an change of placement appointment with us because then you're in the wrong class and you don't want to damage your GPA right that first quarter.
All right, the next question is about the 2 varieties of Math 160s, the honors calculus. It is definitely true that the 2 sequences cover the topics in different orders. So for example, the IBL version starts with the topology of the real line. So we're really thinking about the order axioms and the way we get through the notions of connectedness and continuity of functions and so on. You don't really even start to see calculus proper until the winter quarter. Whereas the regular 160s is taught out of Spivak's book, which is just a wonderfully written book. And you start with the axioms for the real numbers, and you just go and you start proving theorems about limits and continuity and differentiation right away. So the order of the topics is actually quite different. Overall, they cover the same stuff. And neither of them covers much multivariable. If we have some time at the end of the year, you might get an intro to some multi-topics, but that's not really the main target of the 160s in either variety. Overall, the 2 varieties both do cover everything you need to know about calculus in R1, but they do it in a different order, which is what makes switching between the sections so difficult. It's an important choice that you have to make early on. And, no, you switching from IBL back to regular around second or third week, yeah, that still kind of works. You can get caught up. Switching into IBL is almost impossible. I mean, you're not part of the class culture. You haven't seen the way they've developed those early things. It can be really, really challenging going the other way. So they cover the same things overall. They just get there around by very different pathways.
Um, to clarify, we register for our assigned math class at the same time as everything else. Yes. When is it? You should have received that package from your advisors or CPO, the college programming. The returning students are starting to pre-register next week. So I'm assuming maybe the first or second week of August is when all the first years are bidding on the classes. So double check all the information that you get through Canvas or the college advisors. But you will get your Hume class first put on your schedule and then the rest of the classes. And your second class that you are going to be registering for should be math. Don't register, or I'm going to take blah, and I'm going to then try to fit in the math. Go ahead, bid on the math of your time and choosing right away so that you're guaranteed that math class in the autumn quarter.
Next question is about math 160s versus 150s in some other majors, like, say, astrophysics. And they say, for example, that they'll take 151, 152, or 161, 162, but they don't mention 161.10 and 162.10. That's probably our fault for not having clearly communicated that the two versions of the 160s are equivalent. So yes, they definitely will take the other version of the 160s. And if you have any issues with that, email us and we'll make it clear to them that that's what they should be doing.
Can we email math advising for any questions related to what math courses you would like to take at UShakra for any major and minor? September 16, we are not going to have much time to answer questions right now because we are dealing with the returning students. So if you're asking about math higher level exam, then yes, we will get back to you. But there's, 2,000 incoming students. And so we cut our time for you guys in the autumn quarter in the first 3 weeks, but we are not going to have much time right now.
We talked about
Yeah.
AP, right?
Yeah, so AP AB of 5 will get you into 151. AP AB 4 will get you nothing. That's too low for us. So if you got AP AB 5, then yes, you got placement into 151. If you got 3 or 4, then we will just see it on your record, but it's really, I might take it into consideration if you come for change of placement. I will look at your AP score. I will really look at your score at the online placement exam. So that one is more important to us to look at when we are trying to decide if we allow you to change placement or not.
All right. Is there anything you should do before autumn quarter if you wanted to take the 160s? No, you really don't have to. Let us show you the way. I'll tell you. And look, a lot of people are going to say, oh, but everybody else in my 160s class already knows how to do proofs. No, not, they're in the 160s to learn how to do proofs. That's why they're in the class. So no, you don't have to prepare for that at all. Let us teach you. It's an invitation to join us on that side of the fence and do that theoretical work and have the guidance of us, the faculty, in showing you how that all works. 159.10 again is that alternative 1 quarter course in proofs if you wanted to take higher level math. It is offered every quarter, autumn, winter, spring. And can you take it without taking 153? Well, no. So you have to have calculus done before you take 159. Any variety, although if you've taken the 160s, then there's no need for 159. So, but if you've had 151, 152, 153, then, and you want to transition over to doing more theoretical work, then yeah, 159 is your next course. Let's see, and just while we're at it, if you placed into 152, the pathway to 160s would have been to get the invitation. If you did not already get the invitation, then that is the kind of thing that you would set an advisory appointment with me for come September 16th.
So there is a question, what is an example of substantial extension from high school mathematics that qualifies students for Math 207? So you should have received the invitation to Math higher level exam. You cannot talk your way into Math 207 if you have not received the invitation. Typically, those students have taken classes beyond the high school and probably at local colleges. That would include proof writing class, that would include ODEs, linear algebra, discrete math, graph theory, and so on. So definitely classes beyond the high school. And then performing well on that math higher level exam. It's again, if you get invited to Math 207, you don't have to accept that invite. You can start still in 160s. If you're like, okay, maybe I need to just solidify my foundation a little bit more, improve writing, then that's perfectly fine to start in 160s. If you do great in 160s, if you get grades A, we will allow you, at least in the autumn and winter quarter, if you get grade A, we will allow you double up in the spring with abstract linear algebra, and then you will automatically qualify for honors analysis in your second year if you get grade A in 160s. I have placed into Math 152, but haven't taken proper math class since May of 2023. Is there anything I can do to prepare for this class? Would you recommend to wait for September 16 and switch down to 151? Flip through your notes, calculus textbook, if you still have any from the high school. I would not recommend to directly switch into 151 right away. Sometimes it's better to try out the class, at least try it out. I always tell the students that I meet with, if you're absolutely certain that you're in a wrong level because you missed the placement test or because the internet crashed and you only answered half the questions and so on, then definitely schedule a meeting. But if you're on a fence and you're not sure whether it's because you take a gap year or you have a little bit of math anxiety and so on, you should still just try that class because you don't want to give up a seat in the class you got placed into because those seats will get taken fairly quickly. And then you might not be able to get back into the class that you just drop. And that might be your preferred time and preferred day. So I always tell the students to at least test the class for maybe 2 lectures, because the first lecture is going to be, hello, my name is introduction, here's the syllabus, and you don't really get to learn much math. Second lecture is when you actually start getting into math. So if you feel like you're drowning during those first 2 lectures and you look at the homework and you're like, I don't understand anything here, then yes, schedule the appointment. I will have plenty of appointments during the first 3 weeks and we can drop you down.
Yeah, so this is partly what the next questions are about, switching and so on. So if you try out the 160s, look, and it's an invitation. It's not for everybody. But I would say, similar to what Dr. Day was just saying in answer to the other question, give it a little bit of time. Don't judge it off of one day. You can't possibly make a proper evaluation of whether that's for you after one day. I'd say give it at least a week, if not 2. At least try the first problem set, at least go to some office hours and see what the resources are. But if it's not for you, there are switching options, right? So that's why we have that 3rd week deadline. So if 161 isn't working and you would like to go back to your 152 placement, yeah, we can allow that. You will at that point need to see one of us because, again, it's past the 1st week deadline for you to be able to do it yourself. But yeah, the switching is definitely still possible through the end of the 3rd week. And even then, I won't force you to, but if you ask me, I'd say, well, how's it going so far? Maybe try sticking it out through the end of the quarter, and then you could switch into the winter quarter. But if you wanted to switch at the end of the 3rd week, you can certainly still do that. Yes, definitely switching is possible. Does completing 152.50 fulfill prerequisites for 159.10? Yeah, I suppose at that point we probably would just let it go. I mean, if you've had a course beyond the second quarter, 152, I mean, the thing is 153, the sequences and series stuff in there really actually does matter for 159. So I don't know. I'm not just going to give a blanket yes to that.
Professor Boller is being nice. I would tell you to take 153. I mean, you can convince him to, after you take in 152.50 to allow you to enroll into 159.10, but hard prerequisite for 159.10 is either Math 133 or Math 153 for the reason that exactly we want you to see those series and sequences because 159.10 is a bridge course that can be going really fast and you want to make sure that you have solid foundation before you go in. When will the form for the higher level exam will be sent out by this Friday? I would say by Friday, 5 p.m., the end of business day, expect an email that will arrive from either Professor Boller and I that will explain the higher level exam that we just talked about and give you the link to the Google form. You will have until, I think, August, the couple days before the end of August, I would say August 25th or so, if you want to take the higher level exam, to fill out the Google form because we will close the deadline on, and it will say in the email, We will close it, the enrollment form on the August 25th, so then we can enroll you in that Canvas course. And you will receive invitation to the Canvas course in your email. So then you just open the invitation, it will open the Canvas course for you, and that will be long description of what is needed for the exam, when is it scheduled, when is the math webinar scheduled, and so on. All right, so all the questions answered. We still have some time, so if you still have questions for us, please feel free to put them in that Q&A. We'll wait a couple of minutes for you to
A couple
do
minutes. We're not going to sit here for half an hour
We're
just
not gonna
because.
sit here for yes. And as I said, the meeting is being recorded, and your college advisors will have that recording, so they can distribute it back to you if you have any questions or you want to see the diagram again and so on. Textbook for 16010, 16110, no, there's no textbook. It's in-house scripts, that's all you get. What was the mailing list called? That's our math department mailing list. It's typically for math major or any people interested in math, and you need to email both of us. So our emails are bowler@uchicago.edu and jstehnova@uchicago.edu. And just tell us your incoming first year, and we will put you in that class of 2028. We basically distribute all the important information about math department, such as any job openings, internship openings, any grad school applications, if applications for honors analysis, any math major meetings, information about possible positions as a graders or tutors within the math department that are paid positions. We have a lot of our math majors helping us grade in our math courses and so on. So we just distribute that information through the math list host.
So there's a question, prerequisites and getting credits. If you take 153, that will give credit. I'm not understanding the question, sorry. Give credit, but does not meet the prerequisite for 152.50. Well, no, because 153 is at the same level as 152.50. So if you take 153, of course, you get credit for that, which then gives you the back credit for 151 and 152, which then allows you also to take 152.50. But you already had the opportunity to take 152.50 because it's at the same level as 153. Timing of classes is roughly the same, although it depends a lot on which class. I mean, when we're talking about a class like 152, we've got something like 16 different sections of it offered at 10 different times. If you're talking about one individual class that, like, I don't know which one you'd be talking about, because there are very few first-year classes that are offered at only one time. But roughly speaking, they're on the same schedule, yeah.
And the schedule is being published this week. So because you're now UChicago students, if you literally Google UChicago class search, it will pull up the website. You will have to log in with your information, but the entire schedule for any math class will be available. You have to then search by the autumn quarter and the math department and so on. But the schedule is published this week because the returning students are registering for the classes next Monday. So they need to be able to see the schedule. So you can see all the first year classes that are being offered. They might not have instructor names yet because those usually get added later in the summer or beginning of the September, but all the classes will be published. So you can see the days, the times, all the sections and so on.
So there's sort of a double shot of a question here, basically about what is on the higher level exam, and we're kind not to say. we're not going to give details about what's on the exam. No, I mean, the proofs are not, I don't think, specific. No, I think we want to see what you know.
Someone did not do too well on a placement test, placed into 151, but have taken other classes. This is exactly, you want to wait until September 16 and you will be scheduling appointment with me. I might ask you some math questions during that appointment just to see whether you get a chance. From 151, you get a chance to be moved up to 152. So you would start in 152. We do not allow you to move up by 2 levels. But at least you would get to start one level up from 151. But you have to convince me that you belong to 152. Can I get a link for the classes? Let me put it in a chat. Just literally Google. Let me see. Google U Chicago class search. If you Google U Chicago class search, it will pull up one of the first links should be the register website that basically lists all the U Chicago class search. Let me see, maybe I can. Maybe I can pull it up this way. Yeah, it's just giving me the same thing. Yeah, so Google Chicago class search, you will need to submit your credentials, so email and so on, and then it should be, you should be able to see all the classes.
So there's a question about taking Math 160s if you got a BC5. The reason to take 160s is not because you got a BC5, it's because you have an interest in doing some theoretical math with us and possibly taking higher level math. And a BC5 is a good indication that you're ready for it. But like, that's not why you should take them. I mean, somebody with a BC5 might also, if I'm going to go be a physics major and not a math major, well, then maybe that person should take the 180s. But definitely a BC5 is a good sign that you're in good shape to probably take the 160s if that's what you would like to do. Yeah, sure.
All right, any other questions?
All right. Well, look, this was fun. This is always really nice to get off to a good start and have you get a chance to meet us, for us to meet you a little bit, answer your questions, try to get you some good information. Again, you do have to do some pre-registration and so on, and we would like you, of course, to, those of us who've qualified to take the calculus accreditation exam or the higher level placement exam, to fill out that form when we send it out, and to then go ahead and take those on September 3rd and 4th. And after that, for those of you who are taking that higher level exam, we will be giving another webinar the following week so that we can talk about what the implications of those results are when you then can actually start making all those changes the week of September 16th.
There is one more question. Is there anything on the AP system that IB math students wouldn't know for 160s we should know? I have seen enough of the IB students that you will be fine. Everyone drowns in 160s. The first day you're like, oh my God. And then it's just gonna be more fun. Just stick with it. Stick with it for the first week. If you really are like, okay, no, then go back to your original placement. But 160s only get better and better. They're like fine wine, even though I don't think they're legally okay drinking it. So they're just get better and better and better. So stick with it. Yes. Okay, so I will stop the recording. Thank you, everyone. Welcome to Chicago. I know we have only seen your names, but we hope to see you in our We hope to see you in our math classes this coming quarter. And again, if you have any questions for math higher level exam, you can email us right away. For anything else, just wait until September 16. Thank you. Let me stop the recording here.